Hello, everyone. So if I may ask you just to start, if you can unmute yourself so I can hear you all. And I know that this is not just me speaking to the screen.
Okay.
Not just speaking to the void.
Exactly. So I know there are human beings there. So again, for everyone, if you can just unmute yourself at the beginning to show us you're here, let us hear you. I will let you know when we start everything officially, and then you can go back into your personal space.
Hi again, Magna.
Hi everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I love it. Oh goodness, that is so beautiful. Oh,
Hi everyone, how are you?
such a beautiful view, all of your faces. And I know some of you. I had a chance to actually interact with some of you before, and I also see new faces, so thank you so much for being here. We have a few people joining, so we're just gonna wait like a minute or two to have everyone here. So let me just,
Testing.
yeah. Oh, Robert, you have a very professional microphone. It's a way more professional than mine.
It's not working though.
It looks good. You know, sometimes it's about how things look, right?
Right. I have multiple microphones. It's confusing. There's one in this, and the speakers are here, and so it's all crazy.
Okay, so I
If you
am.
can hear me, that's good. It doesn't matter.
I'm sure you guys have done this before, but I'm always really curious where everyone is from and to see which time zones we're covering. And if we have some of those really brave, crazy souls that are here in the middle of the night. So I'm curious, who is here from, sorry, I'm just trying to admit someone. Let's see if Ronak is here already. So there's someone who's trying to join from 2 accounts. Hopefully they'll be able to join. Okay, so I want to see hands up for those of you who are from either of America. So Canada, US, Central America, and all the beautiful Latin Americas. Okay, we have this beautiful hands up. Yes, now who is from Europe? I'm from Europe right now. Where do we have Europe? Sweet. Do we have Africa? Anyone from Africa? Any country in Africa? I don't see any hands. Okay, what about Asia? Anyone from Asia here? Okay, and anyone from Australia? I think for you, that would be pretty late. Okay, lovely. So we're covering pretty much multiple continents. I'm loving this. Steven says, I'm from the USA. USA and not a USA. If you guys wanna let me know where you're from. Yeah, we have one person who's trying to join, and Ronak. Do we have Ronak already in? Okay, another person joining in. Okay, sweet. Okay, we have Philadelphia. Hi, Robert. India, right outside the East. Brighton, UK. Oh, that's a lovely place. I love Brighton. I've been there a couple of times. Ireland, but living in Peru. New Jersey.
Chicago.
Friend of Kate. Oh, Andrew, do you mean Kate Tyler? Where is Andrew? Oh my goodness, yes, lovely. We have Netherlands. Oh, lovely. Oh my goodness. We have Sam joining. Okay, you guys, if you guys can just be patient with me, give me a couple of minutes because there are some people still coming. So we have another person from Netherlands. Oh goodness, it's gonna be Ook. A-U-K. I'm sorry, I know I butchered Dutch names. You guys have.
No, it's Auke.
Auke. You know, I have a friend
Yes.
whose name is Yaukja. I think it's a bit of a similar spelling, and I just remember that the way it's meant to be pronounced is very different. We have Czech Republic, that's close to me. I'm Polish. By the way, if you guys ever wonder while we're here, hi Richard, about my accent, because I understand that I may have weird accent, the accent comes from Poland. John is from Chicago, which is almost like from Poland because apparently there's so many of us.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for being here. Like, you have to understand, I know I'm a woman doing the work with men around the topics of intimacy and sexuality. I understand that this may feel a little bit like you know, for you, it's like, why is a woman talking about it? So I really, really respect and honor your trust and your curiosity just to be here. I really do. I do not take it lightly, trust me. I absolutely adore love working with men. It started, I think, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I was working with women, and one of the men just asked me whether I would teach him the non-ejaculation practices. And all I heard in my body was a big yes. I had no idea what to do with him, what kind of sessions to do, but my whole body said yes. And that's how it started. So since then, it's been hundreds of men through either one-on-one work, or online courses. I've had some containers before, but like I just absolutely love it. So thank you for existing. I know you guys don't hear it very often these days. So thank you for existing the way you are, the way you express your manhood, your masculinity. It's so needed and so precious. And so honestly, just personally, this whole session today, I really hope I can be of service. Because I mean, you know, of course, what the topic is how not to be getting stuck in the friend zone. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about it is because I have seen so many amazing men being overlooked by women. And also I have found myself in situations when I see this incredible man and he like meets all of my desires and wants, but something is missing. And so I don't feel sexually attracted and we end up being friends. And I've made the same thing as any other woman. I would go for someone who felt exciting and who end up hurting me really deeply. So there is a reason why this happens. There's a reason why this happens, and that's what today is about. So we're gonna dive into this topic, and just a little note, if for those of you who do not have your cameras on, if you feel comfortable doing so, it would really help me to see your face and see where you are. And that also means that sometimes, look, I get it, sometimes we need to get up and get something, like get a glass of water or just check something. So I may sometimes just see your background without your face, and I would still like to see that, you know, because it makes me feel like you are here. And we are talking about very intimate, you know, it's an intimate conversation. So it's also about creating this safe space for every single person here, because I understand that, oh, we have a kitty. I'm a cat lady. Hi, Will. So I understand that, you know, it may feel to a certain degree uncomfortable opening up in front of a woman, in front of other men that at this point, they're just strangers. So for all of you, if you feel comfortable, it would be great to have your camera on. Again, if you really don't, if you feel like I really don't want to be seen, that's also welcome. You're a sovereign being and you know what is best for you. I am curious, do we have anyone here? And if you could like actually raise your hand with the reactions, if you can let me know if any one of you has attended my recent talk. There was a part of the One World Tantra Festival about the Dark Lover. Has any one of you, did anyone of you attend this? Just show me, do we have anyone who was there? I'm just curious. Okay, lovely, sweet. So my loves, Derek says I'm going to watch the replay. Yeah. So we're going to talk about today how not to get stuck in the friend zone, right? What is it? Like, why is it that you do everything right? You're respectful, like you say, you exactly do the things that all the women claim all over social media that this is what they want. You actually give it to them. And as a consequence, you get to see her go with another guy who seems like an asshole, right? And then either watch her be with someone else, or even worse, when that guy ends up hurting her, and then she comes back to you with the audacity, right, to treat you like a friend, to lean on you and share about her pain and share, oh, why did he not love me? Why did he hurt me? And you're there, like wondering, are you kidding me? Like, did you not notice me at all? Right? So that's what I want to talk about. So I want to start by asking you a question. What is the one main difference between a friendship and a romantic relationship? And if you guys have your cameras, your microphones on, you can like just throw it, or you can type in the comments. What is the one thing that mostly distinguishes friendship from a romantic relationship?
Sex.
Da-da! So obvious, right? But yeah, literally. Yeah, Andrew says sexual attraction. Exactly. It's like, if there is no sex, you're great friends, but you're not lovers. It's as simple as that. Okay, my loves, I will actually ask you right now if you could mute yourself, just because we're having a lot of different sounds. And if we, at any point, if you want to ask a question, you can write in comments or you can raise your hand. There is an option, if you're not familiar, at the bottom when you have your icons, you have reactions. When you click on the reactions, there is this little icon that says raise hand. So when you raise your hand, I see automatically that you want to share something or ask something. So that's a very good tool. But you can also just message either me privately or everyone in the chat, and I'll know that you want to either ask or share something. Thank you so much for this.
Magda, I think it's also attitude. It's attitude.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you feel in the relationship?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We have a few people joining, so I'm just adding them. Okay. Okay. Steven says polarity. Yes, exactly. We'll speak about all of this. Lovely. Thank you so much. So here is what happens very often these days. Okay. So there is someone you like, right? So you approach them, right? Within the friendship dynamic. Because we have, that's probably the thought pattern. Well, I like them. I especially know you as a man, right? Towards a woman with everything that's happening these days. So you're like, okay, I want to show her that I am safe, right? I want to show her I am safe. I can be trusted, that she can relax in my space. So you approach her within the friendship dynamic. And once this is established, only then you start introducing the conversation about sex, right? Once it's sort of like, said, okay, it's safe here, right? You can trust me. I'm not a creep. I'm not sleazy. I'm not a bad boy. And only then we decide to introduce the topic of sex. So once you have that foundation, now that, as you have probably experienced, doesn't actually work. Now here is why. The moment she labels you as a friend, it's really hard to change that. The only place, or in the only situation really, where a woman can switch that label in her mind is Hollywood movies. And I know it's not something you want to hear, but I want you to think of it this way. If you have a piece of paper, an empty piece of paper, right? And you take some color pencils and paint and you paint over it, right? Now you have something. It's really difficult to turn back that page into something white to paint something different. And this is how human mind works. You may have heard a popular philosophical concept called tabula rasa, meaning that it's a blank page in our mind. We have, there are different topics on which we have no opinions. So then when we meet someone and they introduce a certain idea, we're like, okay, well, that sounds good. And we fill our blank with that idea. So we've already filled up the glass. So when someone comes with a different idea, we kind of don't have space for it anymore. So it's quite easy to create an opinion or an idea about someone. It's really difficult to change it. So this is kind of where you get stuck. If you approach a woman from the place of friendship, she labels you, oh, he is safe, he's a friend. And then it's really difficult for her to start looking at you in a different way. Now, those labels are true, not just for the friend label, but also if she labels you an asshole. But just notice with yourself, because I'm pretty sure you've experienced that too. If you met a woman and if at first you labeled her as a slut or an easy girl, one night stand, it's kind of difficult to convince you that she may be a wife material. At the same time, if you meet someone and you see, oh, she's very shy, she's timid, she's not sexually open, again, it's gonna be hard to convince you that she may be a good woman for like a fun one night stand, right? Now, Robert is asking, so the goal is not to be safe. No, and I'll speak about it, okay? But I want you first to start from the place of understanding that as horrible as it maybe is, the reality is that when you meet a woman you like, you really get one chance. you know? So basically often a man loses a chance with a good woman because you don't play your cards right from the start. The first hand is not strong enough and you kind of lose the game. Okay. Now, this is what the bad boys have. What they have is that they have this sexual charge, okay? And so when a woman meets a bad boy, she labels him, oh, he will be good for my sexual needs. Now, I want to give you a little insights into a female nature, into how women operate. Because we often talk about the fact that men want sex, right? Like in our society, the standard scenario is men want sex all the time, men need variety, right? It's like when you see a woman, you want to have sex with her if she's beautiful and things like this. Now, the reality is that women, we have very strong sexual needs as well. Only that we have been conditioned by the society that we cannot express them, but it doesn't mean we don't have them. So there's a few things that make women go for those bad boys, okay? First of all, like I said, women, we have our sexual needs as well, and they're just as primal and animalistic as those of a man. We have them too. We watch porn as well. We're into king, we're into intense things just as much as men are. We're just not allowed to say it, okay? But we have those needs. So now understand that for most women, right, we don't get to express our desires and our needs. And if we don't express them, if we don't ask for them, then we are not met. The reality is that the majority of women on this planet are sexually frustrated. They're not sexually met, right? So for women, the need for sexuality is a need that has not been met for a really long time. Most women have not been fucked well, maybe even once in their life. Most women are not orgasmic. So as women, we kind of walk around desperate, literally desperate, to find a man who will finally be able to penetrate us so deeply, not just physically, but with your heart, with your soul. That's the sexual nature of a woman. Our polarity at the level of sex is receptive, is being penetrated. So we want you to literally take us so very deep. And in most cases, that doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. So then even though as a woman, yes, I want a good man, I want a solid man, I want a safe man, there's this animalistic part of me that for most women has never been met. So they still long for that because they still need that. So bear in mind, for most women, their needs, their urges, they're longing for it. It has not been met, right? Secondly, we live in a society where, let's be honest, most of us lead mediocre lives. Like we all would love to take risks and go for a crazy adventure, and most of us don't, right? We choose safe jobs where we have steady paycheck, you know, we buy a house, we buy a car, right? If you have a choice between like buying a sports car or buying a safe Volvo or SUV, most of us go for safe options. Nothing wrong with that, but the reality is, again, that a lot of us want more excitement in life. And that's true for women as well. We want excitement. It's just most of us don't have what it takes to actually have more excitement in life and take those risks, you know? Now, the third thing is that we live in times where, unfortunately, those primal desires have been labeled as something bad and as something dangerous. So, you know, especially after Me Too movement, like I understand that it's so confusing for men how to express your desire. Like I have literally saw a very well-known Tantra teacher make a post saying that it's not okay for a man to tell a woman he doesn't know well that she's beautiful. So I'm like, are you kidding me? Like giving compliments to another person, now this is harassment? Then how on earth can you ever express your desire towards a woman, right? So now that has been suppressed and labeled, this is wrong, let's not do this. So you have to understand that women, we're like We're dried out. We long for that animalistic desire so deeply. And so then we see this bad guy, and look, we are aware he's not a good guy. You know, we go for him not because we want him, but because that deep part of us that longs to be so deeply penetrated sexually, that part takes over. Because we do have that desire, okay? So what those bad guys are good at is at getting a label from the start. The label is sexy, adventurous, and exciting. This is the label that a bad guy gets. And that's why a woman, despite knowing that she's playing with fire and that this may end bad, she will go for that. Now, I don't know if you're aware, it's, I don't remember the exact statistics, but they're really abnormally high, I would say. But a lot of children on our planet are out of wedlock because a woman decides to marry a man who's solid, who's safe, but when they ovulate, they actually quite often cheat. Because during the ovulation, a woman goes for these strong alpha male, caveman-like genes. So a lot of children who walk on our planet, they're not actually children of the father because of that. So I'm sharing all of this just for you to understand that women are very sexual. It's not something we talk about, right? We think that it's men who want sex all the time. The reality is actually that women are more sexual than men. So if you just understand it about women, right, that we have actually really strong sexual needs, then you can also understand why is it so important, right? For that need to be met somehow. So one of you, I think it was Robert, mentioned about also it's about not being safe, right? Well, so here's the thing, safety is important. And a woman needs to feel safe with you to fully open up, and especially to open up sexually. If a woman doesn't feel safe, she won't be able to orgasm. So she needs to feel safe. But here is what happens, okay? So because, like I said, we live in times where desire, sexual desire has been labeled as dangerous, we think that to create space of safety, we're just gonna take the desire out. So you start interacting with a woman without bringing sexual desire, right? Because this way she will feel safe. Now let me tell you this. If you don't put your sexual desire for a woman up front, it's not a rocket science to make her feel safe. The whole point or the whole challenge is, how do you express your sexual desire in a safe way? That's the thing. That's the skill that a lot of men lack because we don't teach it. Because again, if you pull away your desire, unless I think you're angry with me and you want to beat me up, I have no reason to feel unsafe in your space. Yeah, Robert, universal sexual repression. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So again, right, how do you show your sexual desire in a way that's tactful and that's safe? And that's what I'll be sharing here in the session with you. Now, I do want to say one thing, because sometimes when I speak about these topics, people kind of assume that, you know, there's all of these teachings about dating and picking up women, and it's a game, it's manipulation. This is not that. Yes, there are strategies that you can use to make a woman want you, to make a woman go crazy about you, but this is really playing with the abusive and toxic dynamic. And if any one of you has ever been in an abusive relationship, you know how horrible it is to be played like that. Because we become physiologically addicted to the person and it can actually destroy us. So no, I will not be teaching you how to destroy a woman. What this is about actually is the opposite. It's expressing yourself fully, because that sexual desire is in every single one of you. And whether you have suppressed it or not, you know that you are a sexual being. You know that there are moments when you just desire a woman, you want to take her, you want to fuck her. You know this animal is in you. It's just that we've suppressed it. So most of men have been living in a very inauthentic way, where that aspect has been shushed. And what I'm telling you is to actually be able to get a woman and go beyond the friendship, you want to own that part of yourself. So it's not manipulation, it's not playing any games, it's actually being your true authentic self in an integrated way. Now, I will say, in a way, it is a game, as in it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be exciting, and it's meant to be challenging. Yeah, but in this case, it is a game, but not a game to manipulate anyone. Okay. But like with any game, I would say that, yeah, your first move can often determine the whole game. I said this, play your cards right from the beginning. Do not lose your chance. Don't get labeled what you don't want to get labeled, because it's going to be very difficult to change that. And then, of course, throughout the game, it's about all of your steps and your strategy, right? What kind of assets you have. That's what it's all about. Let me just have a quick look at the comments. John is okay. Oh, okay. So I'm just yeah, there's a lot of false programming, blocks, and shame. Absolutely. Also, so many women are feminists and they're trained to emasculate men. It is also very true, unfortunately. Definitely, COVID has turned the whole thing around, making it even more difficult. Okay, so John is bringing something about, isn't this about attitude, head versus ego, heart versus love, having sex or making love? I would say they're both of these are in you. And if you're just fucking, it means you're suppressing your heart. And if you're only making love, it means you're suppressing your animal. But those parts are in everyone. It's the same conversation that we have, you know, materialism versus spirituality. You live in both of these universes. And to be a whole being, we need to embrace both. Okay, so let's present the whole kind of concept, you know, this idea of being a nice guy, what this is about, like, why do we land there, how to step out of it. So this is really like, what's the difference between a nice guy, but then on the other opposite, we have a fuckboy. And I mean, this may be your intention, that that's all you want, but assuming you want a deep relationship, then you don't want to fall into any of these extremes, right? You don't want to be a friend, and you don't want to be just considered a fuckboy. So there is a few elements that come together, and we want to be able to find balance between them. The first aspect is liking versus desire. And I say versus because they are on the opposite. A nice guy is someone who can create the feeling of liking each other. A fuckboy is someone who can create the desire towards each other. Now, what you want is a blend of the two. That you want to like her and you want her to like you, like obvious. If you want to be in a relationship, you want to like each other. You do want to be friends, but you also need desire. Another opposition here is friendship versus sex. You do want to be friends, but you also want to be having a lot of sex, right? You want this to be a sexual relationship. You don't want to just fall into one. Another aspect is closeness versus distance. Closeness creates familiarity, it creates liking, it creates safety. Distance is what creates desire, it what leads to sex. And the last kind of opposition is familiarity versus polarity. One of you mentioned polarity before. So familiarity, again, makes me feel, oh, okay, you're similar to me, so I can feel safe, I can open up. Polarity, which is the opposition, creates sexual tension. So again, if you fall too much into liking, friendship, closeness, and familiarity, if you play too much on that side, you're falling towards a nice guy, the friend zone. If you play too much with desire, sex, distance, and polarity, you end up more of a fuckboy in the fuck zone, right? Again, opposition, right? We want to drive in between. So what I'll be talking about now is certain dynamics or understanding, something you need to integrate to be able to find this balance. Because like with everything, like if you think riding a bicycle, right? Like if you just sit on a bicycle without doing anything, you're gonna fall to one of the sides, right? You need to be pedaling. You need to be moving. You need to be adding energy, constantly being active. This is the only way to keep balance. So it's the same here. It's a constant playing with liking, desire, friendship, sex, closeness, distance, familiarity, polarity. And Robert is asking, isn't the nice guy an emasculated man? I would say yes and no. So remember, a part of you is a nice guy, and a part of you is a fag guy or a bad boy. These are different parts that we have. Emasculated man for me is a man who has disintegrated parts of himself. So if you're just embodying a nice guy, then yeah, you're emasculated. Okay, but a part of you is always a nice guy. Like basically, like it's not the qualities that a nice guy has. They're beautiful qualities, like being safe, being solid, being trustworthy. Like as a woman, I want you to have those. I cannot imagine myself ever marrying a man who does not embody these qualities. But a lot of men who have these qualities, they don't have boundaries. They don't have fire. Then when you can feel emasculated. So I want all these nice guy qualities, and I want you to have your boundaries, to have your fire, to be connected to the dark lover that I sometimes call it. So, oops, I just did that, okay. Okay, so how do we do this, right? How can we play with these? Because like I said, this is not about jumping and like ignoring the nice guy and just jumping to the other side, because you're gonna create a fuck zone. And this, I mean, look, bad guys, they may get what they want, but only at the beginning. Sooner or later, it's gonna blow up and backfire. Okay? I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but if you ever played with that side, usually you manage to alienate a woman to the degree that she doesn't want to see you ever again. Richard is laughing. Has that happened to you? Look, I've been on the receiving end of both of the extremes. The only men that I've ever connected with that I literally do not want to ever speak to were the ones who play those cards when they're just being assholes, It's like, no, thank you. I may have like fallen for this at the beginning, but once I realized exactly what you're doing, it's like, you're out. So this...
I think it's opposite to be sometimes if you're very clear to the woman, very honest, back to basic, no bullshit, they can't stand it. Like my ex-partner can't stand when I'm getting more and more honest and more clear. She gets more angry. So I'm always confused about the manipulations.
I'll tell you one thing, and this is something I wish more people were talking about. So I wanna see the hands up if you have ever read or heard from women, where are the conscious men? Have you heard this? Have you read it? Raise your hand if you have. Okay. My loves, you have the right to ask the same question, which is, where are the conscious women? Mm-hmm. Look, the truth is that there's tons of women who are stuck in the drama, stuck in horrible patterns, who are deeply wounded, right? We call it sometimes the goddess complex. I'm like, oh, I'm a goddess. Oh, I love this one. Oh, this is Kali. No, it's not Kali. It's you having no ability to manage your emotions. There is a difference, okay? So sometimes you have to understand that the more you step into your truth, yeah, you're gonna trigger some people, and those people may be women. And so just like for us women, there's a process of learning, refining, and attracting better men, and learning to say no to men who cannot meet us, you guys have the same right to filter and keep going higher and higher with your choices. You know, if you find that, you know, your woman like is trying to manipulate you, is trying to pull you down, you have a chance also to pick better. Look, not like, I mean, you know, I love women as well, but like this is true for every human being, okay? So absolutely. But okay, so I'm just gonna read one comment. The feminine can relax in the holding of the masculine. This feels often like working, having to keep track of all the checks, always doing the right thing in the right moment and keep the balance. Am I taking some wrong turn? I will speak about this a bit later. But I guess, okay, I'm gonna bring this one here now. Have you ever, and again, show me your hands if you agree, have you ever heard the saying about women that a woman is a mystery? She's not meant to be understood, she's just meant to be loved. Have you heard something like this? Show your hands, who has? Okay, as a woman, fuck that bullshit. When I speak to you, no, I actually want you to listen and understand me. Think about what is a mystery, something you don't know anything about. For example, Chinese is a mystery to me because I never studied this. If women were actually mystery that cannot be understood, then I would be confused with all of my girlfriends. And trust me, I'm not. I know exactly, I understand how my friends, my mom, my niece behave. I understand why they do what they do. To me, women do not seem illogical or chaotic. Why? Because I actually understand them, because I'm a woman. For me, this whole saying that a woman is a mystery, it's actually patronizing. Like, think of it, if you ever like saw a little kid and like a child will say something or do something and you kind of don't even bother explaining because you know they're just children and they're not able to understand it. This is what we hear towards women. Oh, don't try to understand her, just let her be the way she is. It's actually disrespectful. So this is why later men feel confused, and like you were writing in your comment, right? It's like, oh my God, it feels like work. I have to keep track of everything, always doing the right thing. Once you understand a woman and how she acts and why she does things, because we have our rhythm. We move differently than you. Men, usually the masculine moves in the linear way. Women move in cycles. We circle it. But once you understand how we move, it makes sense and it doesn't feel like work anymore because you know exactly how we operate. It's like, you know, think of a car, right? Like you probably know how to drive a car. You understand how a car operates. It doesn't take much effort. But if you were suddenly to fly a plane, probably wouldn't be so easy. So can we please, it's gonna sound horrible, but can we please start thinking of women as cars and not planes that are so difficult to drive? Okay, which by the way, it goes both ways. I teach women the same about men. Understand men, and then it's not gonna be a mystery. And then it will not feel like work. Okay, so coming back to all of this dating dynamic, okay? So, like I said, the main thing between the friendship and an intimate romantic relationship is sex. So when you meet a woman, and you know, and usually men can say pretty fast, like, oh, I like her, right? You guys have this ability to kind of know right away. So when you meet her and you're interested in her, okay, and I want you to think of like any recent time when you liked someone. Just think of the recent time when you saw a woman like, wow, I like her, right? Now, what did you think? What was the truth for you? Okay. Was it that, wow, she's really sexy, she's beautiful, I'd love to be her friend? Or did you think, wow, she's so beautiful, ooh, I'd love to make love to her or have sex or fuck her in whatever way? Okay. And write in your comments, what was your thought? The first one or the second? What was the thought that you had? Was it, oh, I really want to be friends with her? Or, oh, I'd love to have sex with her? Second. I'd like to see her naked, to fuck. Exactly. So here's the thing. In most cases, right, you feel the lust, like you say, to have sex, to see her naked. You feel these feelings. And you don't bring those feelings to the table, right? So then what you're actually being is dishonest. Now, may I say that this is manipulation? Because you actually want something and you're pretending that you don't. That is what feels unsafe. Robert said, yeah, Andrew says, like, I feel that's not allowed. Robert, I was taught from childhood not to. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's what I was saying at the beginning, right? We live in a society where those animalistic urges have been suppressed, have been labeled as wrong, have been labeled as dangerous. What happens as a consequence, we do not speak about it. And I'm going to move to this part now, is that we play very unfair. Okay, so let me actually dive into these things. So there are 3 things I want you to understand in terms of dynamics, okay, that you need to be mindful of. Robert's like, don't you ever bring a girl into your mother's house. So there are 3 dynamics I really want you to actually listen carefully to this one, because this is huge. This is huge, and I mean when I say that I do not know any other teacher who actually talks about it, okay? So there are 3 dynamics you need to understand, like entering into this whole topic, and then how to bring that sexual desire in a safe way, okay? There are 3 areas we need to understand. The first one is, like I said, if you do not bring that desire into the conversation, it's actually playing unfair. This is leading her and being unsafe. Because in some way or another, this will come up. Now, as a woman, I'll tell you, I've had cases like this. There's 2 men specifically. So I just want to turn off the AC because it's getting a little too cold. So I had 2 men like this in my life. We were close friends, and I always felt that they wanted something more, but they felt shy about it. So they never said anything. And with both of them, I had them tell me, Magda, you know, you're not in your feminine, like drop deeper. Why aren't you surrendering? And, you know, it's in a tantric community, so you use this language, but I was being continuously pushed by them to trust them and to open up. And the reason why I actually stayed in my masculine when I was in their surroundings, it's because I knew that the moment I fully dropped into my feminine, they will take advantage of it. They will step into their masculine, trying to claim me sexually. And in both cases, it took them 2 years to actually admit that, yes, I always liked you. And when I explained why I never fully dropped and relaxed, they said, you're right. You're actually right. This is what I was trying to get from you. So through friendship, you're trying to make her feel safe, like I said before, and then you introduce sex. And that's simply unfair. Yeah, Ronak says it is manipulation. It is. Now you have to understand consequences of that, okay? Now, most women do not have the ability to consciously understand what's happening, but their bodies do anyways. So they feel there's something in the body that still happens as a consequence. The first thing that happens is that they do feel unsafe. And when we feel unsafe, the old part of the brain, the reptilian brain, the animalistic brain, actually sabotages our behavior, our life. Because this part of the brain wants to keep us safe, right? It wants our survival. So if any part of her brain labels you as unsafe, she's gonna do everything to stay away. So you lost her because you activated the fight or flight response in her. Again, whether she's conscious of that or not. So that's the first consequence. Now, the second one is that if she doesn't trust you and doesn't feel safe, she's gonna contract. So that's what was happening with me, right? I wasn't relaxing into my feminine because I didn't feel safe. To feel pleasure, especially in a female body, and definitely to be able to reach an orgasm, we need to be in a relaxed state. So if you're playing this game, she will actually not feel pleasure in your presence. So forget about wanting to give her any great orgasm. She just won't go there. She won't be able to, because physiologically her body doesn't feel safe. So that strategy fails on multiple levels. And that is unfortunately what the traditional nice guy plays. It's unfair. It's actually really unfair. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Now, the second one, there is a difference between taking and stealing. Again, there is a difference between taking and stealing. Now, we live in times where taking is considered bad. So because we don't know how to take what we want or what we need, we end up stealing. I'll give you an example. Like, I don't know, like, I know it's really true, especially for women, but I'm curious if this is something you've experienced. So imagine you're at the dinner and there's like few dishes, right, that you're sharing. And there's one plate, there's like the last piece of something left, like a last shrimp or last zucchini, whatever, right? And you're eyeing it because you'd like to eat it, but it's not really polite to take the last piece, right? So you're just not doing anything. And then someone goes and reaches for that shrimp and you're like, what an asshole. I wanted it. Have you ever felt something like that? Because as women, we often, okay, yeah. Now think of it. What's actually happening? Someone wanted it and someone took it. Because you didn't have the skills or the ability or the energy to just take what you want, right? Maybe what's going to happen afterwards, you're going to go to the kitchen and see if there's any more food, and you're actually stealing the food. Now, this may seem like a silly example, but it's so strong in terms of how you relate to women. As long as you don't know how to take pleasure from a woman directly, you will be stealing it. So stealing is, for example, this is all those examples of men who will say, you know, I want to give you a massage, like just, you know, because I want to be of service. Like I've heard it so many times. I'm like, oh, really? So me being topless is you being of service to me, right? Instead, if you just said, listen, you're a beautiful woman, it would give me pleasure to be able to give you a massage. And I can tell you're probably going to enjoy it as well because I'm pretty good at it. But like, you're making it clear that yes, there's something you'll be taking, you'll be receiving as well. Instead of pretending you're not, and then you're like taking what you want. And when I mean taking and especially stealing, I mean energetically. So what is stealing? As a woman, if I walk on the street and a man looks at me, like he may have passed me, so I do not see him. A man turns around, looks at me, I actually feel that. Now, again, most women will not consciously register it because most women are not trained in the arts of sexuality and intimate work, but their body will. There will be a contraction in the body. Because what this man just did, he actually stole part of my energy. One of the ways how women get sexually traumatized is not through physical rape, but through men looking at us with desire. Because it's literally like you are undressing us with your eyes. You're undressing us with your energy. You're already taking my body, my energy, just on a subtle level. That's what stealing is. So how to learn to take? You have to start owning your desires. Don't push it on someone. Don't impose your energy. A lot of men do this. If you haven't experienced sexual satisfaction, you're going to impose your desire on a woman. Feels very needy. Again, that's stealing. You're actually violating her space with this. So when I say about, you know, it's not a rocket science to make her feel safe when you pull your desire back, when you're not stealing and not taking. Once you introduce sexual desire, if you're stealing, she will never feel safe. So you have to learn to contain your desire. What it means is you're looking at a woman and she's sexy as fuck, and yeah, you want to fuck her, but you can own it. And you can hold the desire without this desire taking over you and then running on its own towards her. So can you hold it? It's like, imagine this in a way like having a carrot with horses. You know, and the horse want to run, they want to run, but you're holding them because you have the strength to hold a horse. Your sexual desire is like a very powerful horse, you know that. And you as a man, you must develop mastery over your sexual desire. Only then expressing your desire towards her will feel safe. As long as the desire has still the power over you and can take control and you lose control over what you do, that's when she will not feel safe. That's what's dangerous, okay? And then the third dynamic is, like I said, this liking versus desire. We've already mentioned this, right? So this idea of polarity and how much of polarity we want. So you have to understand that if you start with polarity, like you need familiarity to create safety, to make her feel that, hey, you know, I'm here, I exist, like bump into each other and talk. But too often we forget that the polarity is important. Because notice when you like someone, we kind of have this tendency of trying to find ways how we agree on things and what we have in common, that we're so similar. It's like, oh my God, we're perfect for each other. We're soulmates because we're so alike. To a degree, you want this. But the way Tantra talks about sexual desire, I find it really beautiful, is that this is the longing of the two opposite polar, two polar opposites to unite into oneness. The oneness is the enlightenment, you know, that's divine. So your sexual desire towards another person is actually the call of your soul to reunite into oneness with divine. But if there's no polarity, there's no desire. Remember, desire is about opposite sides coming into oneness. So in relationship, there's different things that can create this polarity. Gender is one of them. The feminine masculine is a huge one, especially in intimate relationships, but also different views and different opinions, different habits, they can also create this polarity. So if you focus too much on what you have in common, you're killing that natural desire for oneness. I want to have a look at the comments here because I've seen a few good ones. And I know I've missed a few, so my apologies. If you wrote something that would like to be shared, or if there's a question and I missed it, just write it again, okay? Robert says, how often women dress to attract men to look at them? Absolutely. Guys, look, here's the thing. Every woman wants to be perceived as a sex object. Just no woman wants to be perceived as only sex object, okay? Absolutely, we try to get your attention. Goodness. Yes, we do. I don't know if you, yeah, it's like, totally. I'm not even gonna go deep into this. Absolutely, yes. Which, by the way, women, we thrive when we are seen, when we get attention. The feminine opens up, she shines brighter. So that's why we wear jewelry and other things. We make ourselves beautiful through our lens, so we can be seen, we can be looked at. When we get compliments, we shine so much more. Totally. Okay, I must own and see. Richard says, but isn't it more simple, just the smell? I'm not sure fully understanding it, so if you can just type and explain this one. John is writing, are we living in shift of consciousness, in particular how we communicate and interact through technology? John, do you mind writing a bit more what you mean by this? I mean, technology has definitely changed a lot of things. And at the same time, there are some things that, you know, it's our biology that doesn't change and will not change, even when the environment changes, you know, just like we need to still pee and poop and eat. That's not going to change anytime soon, no matter the technology. So there's still some aspects of our beings that will not change. The technology may impact how we go around it, but they're not going to go away. Robert says there are the roles we are operating in, which determines what is and what is not appropriate. Yes, and you know, you have to also understand a lot of this, what is appropriate and what is not, is dictated by the society and by our culture, you know, and some of those things may not seem like appropriate or not appropriate to you. But I mean, I've been in these places multiple times when something feels totally appropriate to me, but the environment has labeled this is not appropriate. So I try to manage this and maybe not, you know, express it too much. So that is definitely something that's impacting us very deeply. Okay, so Andrew says confused. It says thrived when seen, yet to see is to steal. It depends. So, okay, so this is what I'm saying about this stealing. Can you look, admire, but keep all of your energy inside of you? Notice if there are like energetical hands reaching out towards her and trying to take some of her radiance and bring it to you. Are you trying to take some of her femininity, or can you literally just admire without reaching for her? That's kind of the difference. Andrew, did you want to ask something? I saw you waving a hand. Oh, okay. So Andrew is saying, when you talk about taking versus stealing, could sexual mastery be looking while holding our sexual energy? Example, microcosmic orbit, rather than looking and let the sexual energy shoot out. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly that. As men, look, there's so many lies around sexuality. One of the big lies is that your sexual energy needs to be pushed out of the body. That's one of the ways for that to move. So when you see a woman, it's like you're energetically ejaculating towards her. And just as if I was standing here and you would physically just come on me, it doesn't really feel all that great. It also doesn't feel great when you do it energetically. Okay, like I said, a lot of women will not understand what's happening, but we are receptive, we're sensitive, we interact with each other, the body will feel it. She'll be just like, there's something there, I don't want to speak to this guy. Okay, but absolutely, for most of you, you have not been taught in any way, you have not been initiated in any way to the idea that you can hold your sexual energy, or you can even move it in different parts of your body, that it doesn't have to go out. So absolutely, sexual mastery is exactly the practice to do. Owning your sexuality, being the master of your sexuality. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Richard is talking about pheromones, attraction by body smell, you know, never look without eye contact, and smiling. So, okay, Robert, I'm not sure in reference to what you're commenting with this one. However, yes, absolutely. Smelling and pheromones, huge reason for chemistry. This is something that creates chemistry. Some people claim that you cannot create chemistry, that it's biological. I would argue, I don't think this is true. I think we can create chemistry. But I will say, if it's just the pheromones interacting, this is not stealing and this is not abusive. It's literally like it's the pheromones flirting with each other. Just think of it this way, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Usually pheromones make flirting really fun and very like create this nice tension. Yeah. Okay, so I want to move, you know, so I kind of introduced a lot of concepts, like certain dynamics to keep in mind, and it's super important, you know, like you have to be mindful of these things when you interact with women, because yes, we live in times when a lot of women have experienced trauma, direct or indirect, intense or just like soft, but we have all been harassed and abused in some way. So you have to be mindful of the stories that a female body carries, right? So we have to be mindful of this. And also you want to be mindful of her story, but also you want to be taking care of yourself, right? Because you also don't want to suddenly create, like, you don't want to become a therapist and just focus, oh, she may have these wounds, let me like heal her, instead of actually thinking, well, I have my desires and maybe I would like to be with her in a different dynamic, right? So it's always about a win-win. Everything in life should be win-win. So I want to share with you 4 specific things, like specific strategies when it comes to flirting and approaching women, that allows you to pull out of friend zone. So we said it before, right? How do you introduce topic of sex in a safe way? That's what this is about. Okay, so I have 4 specific things I want to share with you. Okay. Number 1, resistance. So she will ask you something, right? And the normal tendencies, you want to be nice, you say, yes, let's do it. So she is setting a conversation in a certain direction and you join her in that direction. That's what happens in most interactions. Why? Because like I said before, we want to create familiarity, right? We want to create closeness. So we want to agree. What I'm telling you here now is to do the opposite. So instead of saying, yes, let's do what you want, like if she asks you for coffee, yes, let's go for coffee, or, oh, do you think I look good in this dress? Yes, you look good in this dress, which is like following the direction of her energy, of her thoughts. What I'm telling you to do is to kick her out of this trajectory by saying no. That's what resistance is. But it's not about being arrogant. It's about being playful and cheeky, which means you don't just agree with her, you kind of tease her. So I'm gonna give you like a few examples of that, okay? So let's say that you guys are on your first date and she's asking you something, right? And you're like, oh, no, that's not something I reveal on the first date. And she's like, okay, okay, we're playing, okay. Because most of the time you ask, you reply, because why wouldn't you reply? Let's say she asked you like, so do you have any siblings, right? And you could say like, well, darling, information about my family, we're gonna keep it for the second date. Today, let's talk about you. So you're basically like you know, there's expectation. And if there's an expectation to how the conversation interaction will go, it gets boring. You're basically shifting this, right? It's called a paradigm shift or pattern interrupt, which is also a technique in selling, right? Like if you want them to listen to you, you gotta interrupt the natural default flow of thinking. Here is another example, right? Let's say, you know, a woman may suggest, let's go for coffee. And you can say, well, no, darling, coffee will not be enough. It needs to be at least a coffee and a cake. So you're still saying yes, you're not being arrogant. You're not saying, no, I'm not gonna go for coffee with you, right? But you're kind of throwing her off balance. So suddenly it's like, oh, wait, oh, like now I'm awake. And I'll give you an example of what happened to me last year, which was one of the sexiest things I've heard from a man. So it was in the gym and it's in Bali, right? So everyone is, you know, when you work out, you're just sweaty as hell. So I was getting a coffee in my gym and this trainer, my friend, came over and he was like soaking wet, right? So I looked at him and I said, wow, you're all wet. He looked at me and he replied, I'm not wet, I'm sweaty. It takes more to get me wet. And it was brilliant. I see Andrew laughing. Yeah, it was brilliant. Guys, I love that. It wasn't mean, it wasn't arrogant, but he resisted me, right? He didn't just say, a normal person, what would the normal person say? Oh yeah, I just worked out. Duh, nothing exciting there. He added this excitement, okay? So that's the first strategy, resist, interrupt the pattern, do something unexpected through teasing. Second one, imply that the rest will come later. So when I gave you this example, like these first two examples, like, oh, that's not something I reveal on the first date, I am implying that there will be more. Or if I say, oh, we can talk about it next time we meet, right? The second date, for now, let's talk about you. I am implying there will be more. I am creating anticipation. You guys know the power of anticipation, right? It's like when you know something amazing is going to happen, like this coming weekend, you're looking forward to it. It's constantly on your mind. So you want to be creating this anticipation. And I'm gonna give you another, like two, again, real life examples. The first one was a friend of mine did it to me. I'm Polish. He's from Jordan, I believe. And so we're like chatting and we both knew we're flirting, but it wasn't really in the open yet. And I think I asked him, you know, whether he's ever been with a Polish woman. Have you ever had a Polish one? And he replied, I will if I play my cards right. And again, I love that. or maybe it was like, or maybe he wrote, if I play my cards right, something like this, right? So he's implying something into the future. I think it was brilliant. And I'm gonna share with you one thing that I did. So I was living in Kuala Lumpur at that time, and I was partying a lot. Like I was out every Wednesday, every Friday, Saturday, just like really partying a lot. And so, you know, like this party scene would go to specific clubs. So there's a lot of people I knew just from clubbing, right? Like a lot of people you'd see every weekend. And there was this guy who really liked me. And so he wanted to meet me for coffee afterwards. And he asked me for my phone number. And what I did was I gave him first half of my phone number. And I said, you're gonna get the rest next time I see you. And later we actually started dating, and he said that was the thing that got him totally hooked. Again, this is like the first and the second strategy, they're quite similar, because he's asking for my phone number. If I just gave him my phone number, it would be following the trajectory of his thinking, of his energy. I resisted, right? I kicked him off balance by saying, you're only getting first few digits. Because, you know, we saw each other around. So it wasn't, no, I'm not going to give you my phone number, but I made it playful. Okay. And I implied that there will be something in the future. So now, of course, he's looking forward to next weekend to going out and seeing me to get the rest of my number, right? So that's the second way of doing this. The third one is, and this is actually a really awesome one. This is about complimenting a woman. Now, again, if you just come and compliment her, all you're doing is following the flow. It's a standard way how things happen, how people do things, right? You're not introducing anything new. It's expected. You tell her, you look pretty, thank you, boom. Nothing exciting, right? Nothing exciting, because we're all used to this dynamic. So here's actually a really awesome way to compliment her, to break this pattern, make things a little bit cheeky, a little bit teasing, and again, where you offer a form of resistance. Like it's not full on resistance, but you're like kicking her off this trajectory. Again, you're throwing her off balance, making her pay attention to you. Okay, so that your compliment doesn't just kind of disappear. So instead of telling her a compliment, you tell it to someone else who's standing next to her. So here's what I mean. And again, I'm going to give you a real life example, and then I'll give you some more to understand what I'm talking about. So this also happened in the gym. And I was paired up with this guy, and we're working out. And this other guy comes over. He looks to this other guy because he knew him. And he says, watch out with this one. She's not what you're used to. Now, the conversation, again, continued really cool, because he's like, oh, are you speaking from experience? And this guy said, no, I haven't had the privilege yet. And when he said that, he looks at me, but all of the complimenting was with the other man, while I am literally just there with them, of course, hearing everything. So imagine there is a woman, and there may be another woman or another guy, right? Instead of telling the woman you like, oh, you look really sexy in this dress, imagine saying it to the person next to them, saying, she looks sexy in this dress, right? So give the compliment you want to give her to the person standing next to her. It's teasing. Again, because for me, I'm like, damn, but I'm also wondering, why aren't you just telling it directly to me? So I'm like, you know, it's a bit like a kid, like throwing a tantrum. You should just say this to me. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're playing. And now I'm getting all excited. And again, I'm paying attention. You know, and there's some compliments which may not even feel right, or like you guys mentioned before, appropriate. Like, could you actually say to a woman directly, hey, I think you look really sexy in this dress? Maybe this would feel like crossing boundaries. But if you say it to someone next to her, it feels different, because energetically, you're not moving all of your energy towards her. You're moving your energy towards the other person and just giving her a little bit. So energetically, it's not as overpowering and overwhelming. So it feels safer energetically for her to receive that. Okay, super awesome, cool. Very, very sexy. Trust me, like that builds that sexual tension. And it takes me to number 4, which is make it clear that there is a sexual tension between you. Again, remember, we live in times when it's, you know, for women, it's not appropriate to express our desires. There is this joke that says, if a lady says no, wait, was it? Yeah, if a lady says no, she means maybe. If she says maybe, she means yes. If she says yes, she's not a lady. Now, this is the conditioning we've had. A woman was not allowed to say yes in the past. You know, if a woman wanted sex, she couldn't say this. She needed to pretend, oh my God, I don't know how this happened. Okay? And that was true for centuries. So we are deeply conditioned that we don't get to say things straightforward. You guys have no idea how many women have never said, I want to have sex. Everything was always a response to a man because we're like not empowered to do that. So you may really be playing with a woman who may truly desire you, but she's not going to be the one to bring it up. So you can bring it up, but in a way that's not too scary, that's not too pushy. And also in a way that doesn't necessarily like put you up for rejection, you know, because that's also not nice, right? So again, this is about bringing sex into the conversation, but in a playful way and in a direct way. So the story I told you about this friend of mine who said, you know, yeah, if I play my cards right? Like I said, we were flirting, but no one has made it clear. Like it was subtle, like we both knew this because we felt the chemistry, but it was like, if anyone like read our messages, you wouldn't actually probably know we were flirting. And with that comment, he put it on the table like, yep, I'm interested. But he made it in a playful way that even if I wasn't interested in him, I don't have to reject him. Because it was playful, I don't need to tell him, oh, wait, listen, I'm not interested in you, right? Because he didn't say, hey, I'm interested in you. Like he didn't ask a question that comes with a yes or no reply, right? He made a comment, a funny comment. So I didn't have to reply no. I didn't have to go out of my way to explain to him that I don't want you to play your cards right. Right? Because he didn't ask of anything. He didn't ask me for anything. He just expressed himself. So I'm going to give you another example. And this is something that I did with my last partner. So again, we've had some interactions, you know, and there was like something happening, but I was waiting for him and he wasn't making a move. So again, you can do it both ways, right? And I feel like so many of my stories happen in the gym. So literally, I was once in the gym and he was like close to me and he was boxing. So after that, I messaged him on Facebook saying it was really difficult to concentrate on my workout when you're standing there, like what is like when you're standing there like punching the bag or something like this, something along these lines, or that like, yeah, when you look so sexy in the tight shirt, you know, punching, or that like, you know, where I could see your biceps, you know, like boxing. So I just made a comment like, basically it was hard for me to concentrate with you next to me. Again, I didn't ask him any question. I didn't ask him to do anything. I didn't ask for a yes or no reply. I just expressed my interest in a playful way. So I made it clear that I am interested, which is now giving him permission to react, right? Same, the guy telling me if I play my cards right. If I'm not interested, I'm just not gonna do anything. But now I know that, okay, he is interested. So now I can also play and flirt more. Okay, so these are these 4 things. And like you can see, they're all kind of interlaced, right? So create resistance, like pattern interrupt. Number 2, imply something in the future. So create anticipation, the excitement of anticipation. Number 3, compliment her indirectly to the person next to her. And number 4, make it clear that there is sexual tension between you in a playful way. And do you guys have any questions until now regarding everything we shared? And if you do, either raise your hand, do the emoji with the raised hand, or you can write in comments. Robert, do you have a question? Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to unmute yourself?
So I want to ask about differences in age because I'm older And so there's a view that a lot of people have that if I'm attracted to a younger woman that I'm pervy because I should be attracted to someone my age. But I'm not always attracted, and many times not at all, to women my age, and a lot of them are like so locked into dinosaurs mentality that I don't want that actually. So, you know, I don't know how to actually deal with that. And things like Tinder don't help, you know, because you don't really get to talk to anybody to find out who they are for them to find out who I am. So, you know, I don't really know how to navigate being single at this age.
How old are you?
63.
And how old are the women you're usually attracted to?
About 40.
Okay. Look, I will tell you, I do agree that at certain point, the age difference can really be unhealthy. And the reason why is because people who are very young, but we're talking about like early 20s. People at this age, they don't understand what sexuality is. They're innocent. And when you as an older person come with your experience, it's like literally touching a very gentle flower, and you know that when you touch it, most likely a petal will fall. So I do have a belief that if someone is in their early 20s and we are like, you know, 10 years younger or something, maybe look at why are you attracted to them.
I didn't say 20s though.
No, I know. So that's what I'm starting with. When you're talking about 60 versus 40, like, you know, my 80-year-old grandpa was dating a 60-year-old woman. I don't think there's anything gross about that, okay? So at certain age, once you develop your sexual maturity and you've developed also a sense of identity, it's a different story because both of you are very conscious, right? Like a 40-year-old woman is a very integrated woman. Like she knows, she understands the game. So that's different. What I can say is that for every attraction, there is a reason. And like, I don't even know if there's a possibility to actually have 100% healthy attraction. There's always a part of us where there's some energy that I'm missing and I'm hoping to get from someone else. There is the trauma and the wounding that comes into play. All of these things always happen, right? I would say like this, do you have an issue dating 40-year-old women? If you don't, then why even like make it an issue? If you do feel uncomfortable with this, like if you feel, why, okay, it doesn't feel right for me to be going after women who are 20 years younger, then I would say, look at what is it specifically you're attracted to. But again, if you don't consider it a problem, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, it's not the women who are 20 years younger, because if they're interested or not, they're going to make that clear pretty quickly. It's the women who are my own age.
Well, yeah, you know, of course.
Which is you know, or, you know, closer in age. Because I don't have an age thing, I have an attraction thing.
Yes.
You know, it's not about age, it's about who I'm attracted to. But the mindset of women of my generation is like not appealing.
And look, this is something I've heard many times. I even had a conversation. I don't know if I don't want to say names, but I literally had this conversation, I think 2 days ago, from someone from Pennsylvania. If you're watching later the replay, it was exact same case. A man is in his 60s and he's usually attracted to younger women exactly because the women his age, he finds that they're very negative and they're quite bitter and they just don't have this joy around them. And I have to say that, you know, well, we definitely live in a society that doesn't value the refined, mature, wise, feminine energy, which is sad. But it's also us as women. We don't know how to stay in this feminine radiance when we're older. Like I have met some women in their 60s and 70s, and I'm like so in love with them. They're just full of light. They're amazing. And I guarantee you, if you met any of them, you would be super attracted. But unfortunately, most women, they just kind of start shutting their energy down because, oh, I'm not at this age. You know, they don't take care of themselves. They, you know, they don't take care of their body, how they look, like, you know, they don't want to project this beauty anymore. And they lose their attractiveness, right? So that happens. And yes, you will be upsetting women because they'll probably struggle to find a partner. But again, like, what's more important for you? You know, if you know that you're in your integrity, that there is no problem, right? That starts with you. Everything we do, I said at the very beginning, I don't know if it was you, Robert, who said this, like, the more you speak up, then you feel like women cannot handle this. Remember, there is a layer of evolution for everyone, right? And the more you'll be owning your own desires and your truth, there will be people who will be falling out of your life, and that also means women. And that's just part of life, I would say. Yeah. Thank you. Max, do you want to ask a question, or was the hand raised from before? Okay, I don't think it's a question then. Anyone else would like to ask something? Okay, so I want to share with you something more here, okay? Sima, do you want to ask something? Okay, go ahead.
Well, let me just first share that I was a little bit shocked the words you were using in the beginning in terms of the various different, 4 different characteristics in terms of the one side versus the other side. But I was saying, you know what, wow, it's really quite in your face, but you know what, it's real, which is that I really enjoyed. And I would say that after that, and then after that, once I was in it, it was easy to actually to hear you and to listen to you in terms of what you're explaining. In terms of the situation like Robert was mentioning, and a lot of men that are still active physically, we want to be active sexually. And therefore, we do often actually like to have a younger woman. The only thing I would say this from my personal experience is be the man that she will be attracted to and you will get her. But the question is, what does that mean? That means you can't be the 65-year-old guy behaving like a 65-year-old and expect to have a 40-year-old woman. But if you're a 65-year-old behaving like a 45-year-old man, then yes, you can. Because the thing is, she still has a certain expectations of what she wants to have for herself. And especially, I think you mentioned about that, a woman of 40, she starts understanding herself. She starts knowing what she wants. She wants to know how she wants to live, how she wants to be treated, how she wants to be touched, how she wants to be made love to, and also how she's able to experience the wild side. So, I mean, you have probably many more insight stories about these things. The thing I found interesting was that story that you mentioned about a woman walking, being good looking, and a man walks and actually walks past her, and you are actually stealing energy from her. That's an interesting concept that I never really understood or actually recognized beforehand. So you're saying if you walk by and you see her as beautiful, you can simply say, wow, she's beautiful, but then nothing else. But if you're going by her and saying, oh, I would love to take her and just, enjoy her, then so that becomes a vampiric energy grab. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you guys, this is, when we talk about sexual trauma, practically every woman has it. And we think that sexual trauma means a woman was raped. Very personally about me, I've been working with sexual trauma in my body and nothing happened. So for a long time, I was like, I have no idea what this is about. And you know what, at least partially where it comes from my grandpa, because he, in their relationship with his wife, like they stopped having sex very early. They had a lot of issues. So he would often watch TV shows where you have dancers that are hardly even dressed, right? So there was this kind of sleazy energy. And when I was a child, I was picking on that. And that felt violating to me. And it actually created sexual trauma in my body. Because we are not trained in energies, we don't feel it. I'll give you another example, just like Jenny, how it works. I was with my friend getting a foot massage in Vietnam. And I was getting angry and pissed off because I felt that a woman was not present with me when she was massaging me. So I hated the experience. And I told my friend, oh my God, I couldn't stand it. The woman wasn't here. And she was like, what are you talking about? She didn't understand what was happening because she was never trained in this. Most of us are not trained in understanding energy. Another example. A friend of mine was practicing. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it's a water flow. So they put floats on your body and then they hold you by the neck. So you're perfectly floating and then you close your eyes and then they move you in specific ways, right? So a friend of mine did the training and he was practicing and he asked if he can practice on me. So for 1 hour, all the time I'm relaxed with my eyes closed. And he's asking me for feedback later. And I said, everything was perfect. but there was the one time when I felt you were not present with me. And he said, there was one time I looked to my friend and asked him, just with the eyes or like with the hand gesture, what's next? And I felt it. Now I work with energy. I'm trained to recognize that this weird feeling in my body is about presence, is about energy being projected my way, or is about energy pulled away. Most of us are not trained, so we don't understand what it is, but the body still feels it. For example, and this is very true for women. If you're with a woman in a relationship and you take just 5% of your energy away from her, she feels that. This is why often women go crazy when she's like, oh, you don't love me anymore. Why did you stay longer in the office? Why did you talk to this woman? Because whatever else you were doing, you pulled some of your energy away from her to the other thing. And she feels just a few percentage of the difference. So that is actually extremely intense. It's just that we are not trained in recognizing this. And so what I would say, even if it's hard for you to feel that, like you were saying, just being mindful of that. Okay, I might not feel this. And sometimes you can check in with a woman. You know, I had an example. I was doing a tantric workshop and this guy, and men were meant to approach women to ask for the ritual. And I could feel this man eyeing me. And indeed, he came over to ask me. And I told him later, I felt your energy was too invasive when you were looking at me. And he had good intentions. He was lovely. He brought me this beautiful bouquet of flowers. Like, I loved it. But in that moment, his energy was too much. So he's like, oh, wow, I didn't know. Thank you for telling me. Right? So we become more aware of how people feel us by speaking, by asking. You know, it's like, hey, how do you feel right now? Do you feel you can relax in my presence? Do you feel safe? Is there something I could do to make you feel more comfortable, right? And through having these discussions with women and also men in your life, you get to understand feedback, because this is energy boundaries. How much we can push, how much we need to pull away. Sometimes we pull away too much. Sometimes we're not giving enough energy. Sometimes we're giving too much.
That's powerful. I have a second question, so that ties into that. Now, this is about what I do towards a woman, basically by being a little bit too energetically forward to her. Fine. So that I understand that responsibility. From now on, I'll be much more careful, because I'm realizing to what extent my energy actually does flow. But now for the other side, let's say you're the woman who has experienced this over and over and over and over again, because you happen to be actually physically attractive on top of that. So basically men constantly gawk at you, constantly actually want you, but you don't want them. Like you said, you don't want that energy from the man unless you basically accept it. How does a woman heal from that? Or what can a partner do to help heal that? That's maybe more the specific question. Yeah.
Well, I would say, first of all, this is her job and not yours. And you have to acknowledge this. We got to take ownership and responsibility for our things. What I would say, how you can support her, it's for her to build her boundaries. Now, look, if someone comes over and he tries to take from me, I've had this happen many times. I may have great boundaries, but if you're pushing constantly despite me saying no, then, you know, I'm still going to get triggered. In many cases, it's the deep conditioning in a woman that we don't get to say no and that we do not own our body. So this is the matter of boundaries, which she needs to work on. And especially if she's someone who gets a lot of attention, she needs to work on it extra hard, because some ways how women create those boundaries is, for example, by putting on weight or by being rude, by shutting down their femininity and their gifts, right? So it's good to actually learn healthy boundaries. And this is a path. This is not a, you know, one time off. This is a path. Yeah. Thank you for this question. So we're going to come back to questions in a little bit, because there's something else I just wanted to share with you guys. So as you notice, everything I've shared until now, a lot of it is really about a specific way of being, right? Like, it's not like, oh, say A, B, C. Like, I gave you some strategies, but a lot of it, as you can see, it's something that really is a reflection of who you are, right? So why is it that for some men, right, this is natural? Like, there's some men who play this game very well. They balance perfectly, you know, between the bad boy and the nice guy. They can balance this. And for other people, it's really difficult, or it may even feel unnatural. Like, why is it? And ultimately, it comes down to embodiment, right? It's like, are you embodying both of these sides inside of you or not? Have you integrated them both? And of course, with the social conditioning, you know, around sex, where sex is taboo, right? We don't get to talk about. I mentioned the horrible suppression of the animalistic desires, and some of you share this as well, right? That you have experienced this. Most men have disowned that part. Most men are not coexisting with the animal inside of you, because that part has been labeled as unsafe, the asshole, and a very common word these days, unconscious man, right? No one wants to be the unconscious one. I'm telling you, this as a woman, I get to be labeled unconscious if I say that I want to have a quickie, or that I want to just take someone and be fucked. Oh, I'm unconscious. If I'm tantric, I need to always take 2 hours for lovemaking, basically, you know. So there's a lot of this judgments. Now, if you take away that, if you take away those animalistic desires and the passion and the drive and this ability to ask for what you want in an unapologetical way, if you take this away, what's left is the nice guy. And what one of you asked, this is the case when you are being emasculated as a man, because you're not owning the power of the masculinity, right? Now, I said this at the beginning, the qualities of a good man are good qualities. And probably each one of you, because you're here, that makes me feel that you guys have those. I'm talking things like, you get to make her feel safe. You know how to make her feel that she's listened and she's seen. And those bad boys, they don't know how to do it. They do not have it. This is the part that they have not integrated, right? That's precious, because women want that. But unless you integrate that more animalistic part of you, that sexual part of you, right? That sexual animal, you will always remain a nice guy. So what I wanted to share with you is something that I am introducing mid-July. And it's a very unique path for men, which is called the Path of the Jaguar. And it's a container for any man who wants to learn the arts of merging the nice guy with the bad boy. When I say learn, I mean integrate. Because like I said, the process of embodiment and integration, it's not, you know, a tactic. It's actually living this, right? Being in this energy, actually going within. You may have heard of the process of learning, and I always butcher this, so I hope that I'm gonna get it right this time, because it's a bit of a tongue twister. So at the beginning, we start by being unconsciously incompetent, right? So there's something we don't know how to do, and we're not even aware of this. That's where most of the population is with most of the issues. The second step is you become consciously incompetent. You guys have stepped into this second stage. What it means, I am aware there is something I don't know. I am aware there is something I'm not embodying. From there, we move to third stage, which is conscious competence. Meaning we're actually putting in effort to learn new things, to embody things, but we're making an effort to move to the final stage, which is unconscious competence. Meaning it's embodied and integrated. You no longer need to think about it. You no longer need to engage energy into this. If you think of any foreign languages, right? Like I speak English, this is not my language. But before where I was thinking, okay, I need to translate something in my mind. How do you say this in English? Which tense should I use? I don't do these things because now I'm unconsciously competent. So where you guys are now, for sure, at least, is the second stage. You're aware, hey, I end up often in the friend zone and I don't want this. What this path of the Jaguar is the third stage, which is a learning consciously to become competent so that at the end of the journey, you can become unconsciously competent, which means having this embodied. And that all of the steps, it's a bit of a journey, a bit of a path. So in this container, what we're doing is learning to really embody your authentic self as a man, which means both the light and the dark, this conscious and spiritual with the animalistic. And this is for anyone, for any man who actually wants to understand women, right? No longer she's the mystery I can never understand. No longer thinking like, oh my God, what did I do wrong this time? Right? You know, when women seem to get upset over like ridiculous things, right? You're like, what did I do wrong now? Well, when you understand women, you won't have to worry. You don't have to think like walking on eggshells all the time. Like one of you mentioned, right? It feels like constant work. But when you understand the female mind, the female body, there's no more guessing, no more work. Because also with women, you will become unconsciously competent. It will become natural. You will know how to talk, how to play with your energy, right? In a way that creates the results that you want. And so on this path, we have 6 missions. So it's like a game. Like you embody as the Jaguar and you go through the path, the adventurous path with me as a team. So I am offering you the feminine perspective and the feminine inspiration. Reason why is because as a woman, I get to give you insights into a female mind, but also throughout history, we are aware, we're very much aware that men get to go further with the feminine support than they can on their own. If you think of warriors and kings, even presidents, even Elon Musk, it was the support of his first woman that allowed him to create what he's created. If you're into UFC, we have Conor McGregor. He wouldn't be where he is now if it wasn't for his woman. Kennedy, so many examples. Because this feminine essence inspires you. This is why we talk about muses. So when you have the feminine on your side, you actually get to go deeper because the feminine has the power to bring the best in you. So this is why I'm holding this container. That's why I work with men, because it's my intention to offer you as much as I can my own energy so that you can source from the feminine all the inspiration that you need to really step up into the full expression of your manhood. So I wanted to just take a moment and share with you these 6 missions, if that's okay with you. Is that okay with you if I go through this? You guys cool? Okay, thank you. So I'm just gonna share the screen here. And let me just play this one. Okay, move this a little bit. Okay, so the path of the Jaguar, and there is a reason why it's a Jaguar. Jaguar is one of the strongest symbols of masculinity in tribal traditions. So if you think of exactly where it's about embracing the animal, you know, the inner animal, that's why the Jaguar. So when we embark on this journey, okay, the very first mission is really diving into the depths of polarity. So I mentioned a little bit masculine, feminine, and I'm sure you have heard of this, but what does it actually mean? Because a lot of these teachings are totally woohoo, are totally crazy. They have nothing to do with the real life. So what does it actually mean to you? I'm not talking about Shiva Shakti. That's not this. I'm talking in real life. When you interact with women, how do you play with this polarity? Because it actually really does make a huge difference. I said at some point today that this is one of the ways, if not the main way, to create this polarity. Now, if you go too much into polarity, you're going to lose friendship. But if you don't go enough, you're going to lose the desire. So this is vital for you as a man to understand how to actually work with these polarities. Now, remember, as a man, you have this polarity inside of you. So now how to balance the inner polarity and the polarity with the people on the outside, and especially your woman. So that's the first mission, mastering the depths of polarity. Then this is, oh my goodness, I'm getting shivers. And by the way, I didn't reply to all of your comments, but I know one of you actually mentioned this, the mother-son wound. The truth is that there's so much healing that needs to be done in terms of men's approach to the feminine, because women for centuries have been emasculating men. Mothers have been raising boys to be boys and not men. There is a lot of layers there. So the mission 2 for Jaguars in this program is to heal the relationship to the feminine. Even the comment we had before, right? Oh, if I'm not attracted to women my age, those women are angry with me. Why is that? What is that wounding between the masculine and the feminine that is impacting you? So this will be powerful here. Like you'll be able to actually understand and heal your own wounding towards the feminine. And yes, a lot of it comes down to the dynamic with the mother. Was she there? Was she not there? Was she smothering you with love, or was she not present emotionally? But all of this like impacts every single relationship with women in your life. That's the relationship with your partner, but it's also the relationship with your daughter, your sister, your mother, any female friend, whether it's a friend, employee, or employer, and also the connection to your own inner feminine. So then we're going to mission 3, and I've already talked about it. This is about decoding the female mystery. If right now women seem chaotic, illogical, overly emotional, say goodbye to this. I know this can be overwhelming. When you're just like, what the heck? I don't get it. I don't know what you want me to do. How often do you feel like I just don't know what you want from me? Imagine never having to ask that question again, because you'll be unconsciously competent in relating to women. Super powerful, my loves. And then we're going into the land of the light and the dark. So this is exactly what we've talked about, the nice guy and the dark lover, the bad guy. Because sexuality specifically has these two faces. About half of the population falls into the light sexuality and half falls into the dark. The light sexuality is people who prefer going slow, who prefer gentle touch, undulating movements, a lot of sensuality and flirting, a lot of foreplay. The dark sexuality is the intense, it's breaking off the bed, it's pulling by the hair, it's king, it's dominance. And you're going to explore both. Now, people have preference in one or the other ways, but ultimately, you want to know how to enjoy both so that you can find full sexual satisfaction, but also to know how to satisfy your woman and how to create compatibility so both of you actually feel sexually met. Now, I don't know if this happened to you before when you met a woman and everything seemed perfect, but you just were not having great sex. There's no compatibility there. This is where you'll get all the answers why and everything you will need to know so that will never happen again. Then we're gonna move to mission number 5 and we're gonna explore tantric sexuality. So when I said today that a woman wants to be deeply penetrated, and this is where Tantra comes in, because unfortunately the way that most women are made love to, there's no way she can be taken as deeply. We talk of sexuality in such a limited way, which is extremely sad. It's just limited to almost physical friction. When we start talking about sexual energy, energetical sex, energy orgasm, full body orgasm, like how to have sex at the level of the heart, not just sex. That's a whole different experience. This is where you learn how to penetrate her deeply all the way to the divine so that she finally has her sexual needs met. I said this, so many women cheat on their husband when they ovulate. If you know how to master that, you will never ever have to worry about this. You get to be yourself, but you will be able to meet her sexually the way she probably has not been met by anyone else. And then final mission number 6, and this is what we mentioned. This is sexual mastery. These are the skills you need to make sure that you do not steal energy from a woman. Learning to contain your own arousal, learning to master your sexual energy so it doesn't master you. You gotta be the one in control all the time. So you learn how, you can expand the desire in your body, but you get to hold it. You don't have to push it and throw it onto her. You get to hold it, which means you can give her all the compliments. You can look at her, you can tell her, I'd love to make love to you, and she will not feel threatened because you will be managing how much of your energy goes her way. That's what the Jaguars are exploring in the final 6th mission. Now, because I really want to shower you with love and appreciate so much that you're here, and I'm looking how much time we're almost at 2 hours and you're still here. I want to say thank you, and I want to say thank you with something special. If you do feel a call to join this path, only for you, only for the participants of this webinar for the next 48 hours, you're gonna get a bonus. And this is a recording of a very deep session where I reveal the 4 sexuality types. So I talked about the light and the dark sexuality. This is just the separation of the 2 energies, but within them, there are actually 4 blueprints. When you understand those blueprints, what you're actually learning is, what is your preference? What is the preference of your partner? How to recognize if you will be sexually compatible with this woman or not, and how to create this compatibility. I'm gonna probably shock you right now. I don't enjoy oral sex so much. It's really hard for me to have orgasm from oral sex. But if you press on my perineum, mind blowing. I don't know if you've ever heard a woman say this, but it's because it's my specific sexuality type, which I understand, so I get to ask for what I want. But if you learn how to recognize those types, you will actually be able to give her something that she may not even know that will arouse her. Because again, we don't study these things. So you get to know this. Now, darlings, if this is something you'd like to join, this is the link, and this is the link. Actually, this is the wrong link. So it's www.magdakay.com/jaguar dash special. So I'm gonna write it. Let me write this in the chat. Let me just come back here and stop sharing. I'm gonna write this in the chat now. Now, this is the link that you guys are the only ones who receive this, okay? So I will only be sharing the link with people who signed up for this webinar and no one else. This is the link that gives you this free bonus, and it's available for the next 48 hours. So for the same time that the replay of this webinar, if you wanna go back to this webinar, check some things, make more notes, go through these things again, you get to do this for the next 48 hours. And this link is valid for the next 48 hours. So this is only for you. Now, once the time is over, so in about 2 days, I will reveal the program to the public. So you get to join as one of the first, making sure you're gonna get your spot and also getting the bonus. Now, I wanna tell you just one thing about it all. So we're all heroes of our own journey. And in every hero's life, there comes a moment when he receives the call to adventure. And the first reaction is to reject it, to decline the call. Because as exciting as it may feel, there's also fear. We know that going into this adventure, we'll have to face ourselves, and we may feel scared to do it. And then a true hero realizes that. And then despite the fear, he decides to answer the call and he embarks on the journey. And this is the journey that will change his life. It's full of adventures. It's full of surprises, discoveries, falls, and victories. And at the end of this journey, he comes back as a hero, right? At the end of every hero story, there's greatness, there's fame, there's gold, and there is a princess awaiting him as a reward, because now he can claim them, because now he deserves them. Deep inside, now he knows that he is a man who is worth it all because he has worked for it. He has faced his demons to become the man he is now. This is what this program is. It's not really a program. It is a call for adventure. And it's your internal decision if this is the call for you and if this is the call that you want to answer. All I can tell you is that it will be full of adventures. It will be full of discoveries, and it will be full of victories. And at the end of this path, you will emerge a different man, an integrated man with whole different skills. This will be interesting. This will be beautiful. This will be intense, but it will be so rewarding. For you, men, the sad reality is that the whole ritual of initiation and rites of passages, the whole thing has been taken away. And I'm sure you can relate to this way more than me, but you become a man through challenges, right? Challenges is what allows you to understand who I am. What do I stand for? What kind of a man do I want to be? It was the challenge, right, with relating to women that made you wonder, you know what? Maybe I want to show up a little bit differently with women. You get to refine what kind of a man you want to be. And so this program is designed as a form of rite of passage, as the initiation, supported by the feminine. Now, I also want to say that I'm very aware that, you know, these times have touched everyone, right? Many of us have been deeply affected by the lockdowns with our work. You know, some of us lost our jobs, lost lots of money. And so I understand this. And I also believe that money should never be the reason why anyone ever should be denied a chance to expand and grow. So I have lowered the price for this program to $667 US to make it available for as many men as possible. And there is an option also for VIP package. If you feel like I'm very brave, I'm ready to jump all the way in. And in the VIP package, you also get to work with me one-on-one. Now, if you're interested in this, you can read the details more on the page. And again, Robert says that the link is not visible. Let me, okay, maybe I posted it wrong. Sorry, let me just double check that I'm messaging everyone. So, no, what the heck is happening? Ronak, where did you get the link from that he sent? Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. Let me write again. I'm writing the link again. It's www.magdakay, so magdakay.com/Jaguar-special. Now you should see it, the link sent to everyone. Okay, so you should see the link and let me know if you guys have any issues with this. Now you are connected with me at least via email. I hope you guys all have received emails from me reminding you about this session. So you have my email and you can always reach out to me if you have any more questions or any more questions regarding the program. And if you follow me on Instagram or anywhere else, you're also more than welcome to reach out there. If you find me on personal Facebook and you want to add me, you can do this. I do have always a request. Please message me that you're coming from the webinar, because with my work, I do get lots of friend requests from a lot of people. So allow me to filter this knowing you're coming from the webinar that we have met, and then I will know to accept you. And now, my loves, we are almost at 2 hours, but I can still be here for about 10 minutes if you guys have any questions. So I'm still yours for a few more minutes if there's anything you'd like to share or anything that you would like to ask. And again, if you do, just raise your hand or write in the chat so I know if you want to share something. John, go ahead.
Hi, Maggie, again.
Hi.
I wanted to say that I was very impressed with the first part. We're living in a strange world right now because of COVID, but also because of technology and connecting with people anymore. You know, it's the technology like this, for example, is part of it. It never was before. The interaction between how we interact with each other has changed. That's what I was talking about, the consciousness shift. And so there are new tools, new ways of approaching how you want to connect with somebody. And energy is very important, even remotely, because we can connect energetically in this session. But anyways, what I got out of the first part, which I want to share, is it really comes down to, in all 3 or 4 of your strategies, is it comes down to all to be done in a playful way. Everything in that strategy, if you can do it in a playful way, which is a new way of thinking for us guys that grew up with a whole different way of approaching flirting and so on. This is a deeper connection, even energetically and from a technology perspective. And I think the more we understand it, the better. Then this most important part of what I got is we were listening to you talk about the Jaguar. That sounds like an incredible adventure. And it kind of moves in the direction that you and I had talked about, to bring so much together and the need for interacting at a masculine and feminine level and understanding those levels going forward. And you shared with me earlier about the 2 different videos that you put together for masculine and feminine. And my choice was I would go after the one for feminine because I want to understand it to help energetically put that out to the world. But this, you bring it all together. So I'm really impressed with this Jaguar. I'm anxious to kind of find out more. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Anyone else has any questions? Go ahead, love. Go, David. You have to unmute yourself.
I might just want to say thanks for all your information. It's all been very insightful. I just want to say a bit, I live in Latin America now for 15 years, where the culture is very different to the Europeans, and where Europeans are often actually perceived as quite cold people because we suppress our feelings a lot, whereas the Latin Americans are much more warmer, much more family. It's very normal to be 40, 50 still living at home, whereas in Ireland, if you get to 20, 22 and you're still living at home, there's something wrong with you. I would also have been probably brought up more to someone looks directly at you, you nearly more look away. You don't even let it know. Whereas I find it here, they're the opposite. They hold the look, you know, both the male and the female. So in one sense, where you were saying about the whole walking along and looking at the people, they openly the whole, well, in Europe we would consider as being really perverted and all stuff like that. We've been open about our looks and stuff like that. Here they're completely open about it. So when it comes to, I can see what you mean totally about the stealing of the energy, and I'm thinking of ways how you know, I very much get caught in the friend zone with people. I become that confident. I'm a businessman over here, and I keep my distance from all workers, and I seem to be more successful at my work than I seem to be at my personal. Maybe I'm good at keeping distance when it comes to employees and stuff like that, or when it comes to personal, no, I go too close. And I'm wondering how it combined with, say, the Latin culture, the European culture, and do you have much experience like with dealing with like Latin cultures and that, like, and how you integrate these cultures together? Because
yeah, I do have some experience, yes. So first of all, I'll say it sounds like because you're very professional with your business, so there's a lot of distance. It's like there seems to be, you know, the other almost like extreme in your personal life to keep balance, right? And that's what we often do. So it's nice to just be able to find, like, just maybe let's not go as extreme with these things, then, you know, we won't have this confusion. There is absolutely the idea of, yeah, having different culture, like culture conditioning. And it depends who you want to be with. Like, I know, again, there are people like Europeans who don't like the European coldness, so they will on purpose go for Latin people. And then a lot of like maybe Latin people would prefer European because we have different conditioning. So I would say more in this case, just this is part of who you are. Your energy is part of who you are. Just like for me, I'm Polish. I have some Polish conditioning that's there. So I would say, like, because we also don't have time to do a full session here, because this is like everything always has lots of layers. But I would say, the first thing I would say, what if instead of thinking how to change something, what if actually looked at it, wow, this is my asset. That's how I show up. I get to offer something different. Because oftentimes if we think that this is like, oh, like I don't match, I'll be different, we assume people will not like it. So then our energy changes, thinking, oh, I need to somehow like change or protect it. But when you start considering that this is the asset, this is something amazing, you start projecting this quality of you with a different intensity, and it actually becomes very attractive. But I would say that, yes, there are cultural differences, and guys, like with everything, we need compatibility, right? And I was dating a Chinese person before, a Chinese man. And like, for example, in Asia, they're usually sexually quite close. He was very open for a Chinese man. Still, it was impossible for me to meet with him deeply because I was way more open than him. Right. And again, with Latin people, it's the other way around. So it is, at the end of the day, finding the balance with the person. That's one of the areas where we want to try to find compatibility. Yeah. I just wanted to make a little note. I have two people, I'm just gonna hope it's okay to say names. I have Derek and I have Miguel, who are asking me something privately. Can I ask both of you, please, to send me an email to info@magdakay.com, or just reply to any emails that you've received from me, and you will receive like an email with the recording link and the link to the program, so you can just reply to those and just message me with your request there, because I would like to be able to personally reply to both of you with the questions that you're asking, so this way I can give you my full attention. Okay, so Miguel and Derek, that's to you. Okay. Thank you so much, Andrew, and for everyone who needs to go. My loves, bye, Andrew. Thank you for being here. So thank you, all of you, for being here. Again, it's 2 hours. Like, wow, 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 wow. I feel so received and so happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you guys, okay, you can unmute yourself. You can unmute.
Thank you, Magna.
And I'm going to do one little thing with you before we all go. It's something I do with my clients. So if you're still here, please join me for that. But I need to hear your voice. And for this little thing, it's literally less than a minute. I would love to see your faces. So it's quite important to be able to see our eyes. So for any one of you, if you can please, just for now, put your camera on and also put your microphone on so we can hear you. And we're just gonna do a 30-second tiny ritual to officially close the space. So again, anyone else, please unmute yourself. And if you can, please put the video on. And what I want you to do is put your hands together. And I want you to repeat after me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love
you.
you. Love
We
you.
love you.
And I set you free.
I
I set you free.
set you free.
And do what I'm doing.
Sure.
Thank you. Now again, we need to energetically disconnect so that we don't carry each other into our day. So thank you so much. I'll just wait for all of you guys to leave the call. It's been a total joy. Super grateful. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope you guys got value from this. And if you do feel called to join the Path of the Jaguar, it will be my absolute pleasure to connect with you more in that program.
Jai Bhagwan.